everyone. Today I want to talk to you about how we collect information about characters as we read. The reason we collect that information is so that we can understand more about the character and how they might change through a story. It can help us think about how a character will respond to a problem that arises in the story, and it also just helps us understand the story in general. When we think about describing characters, we could think back up to our folktale characters, like Little Red Riding Hood. There were lots of words we could use to describe her. Think about the Three Little Pigs. What are some words that come to your mind? Maybe you thought of some of these words: hardworking, strong, kind, clever, scared. Today we're going to look at a story with some familiar characters and really try to think about what do we know about these characters and how does that help us understand the story. We're going to be reading from the book Days with Frog and Toad. Now, I really love these characters. There's 4 different Frog and Toad story collections. They're a chapter book, but they're a kind of chapter book that is done in a series. Kind of like a TV show is a series where each episode has the same characters, but there's a different problem in each episode that's being solved. That's how this book works. A lot of chapter books will have one problem that we are working on solving throughout the whole book. That's a different kind of chapter book. This is an episodic chapter book where each chapter is a different part. So today we're going to think, what do we know about Frog and Toad? Well, just by looking at the cover, I know a few things. I can see that Frog is tall, he's green, and I can see that Toad is short and his skin is brown. I can also learn more by reading the back of the book. Let's take a look at what that says. On the back of the book we see the blurb. The blurb says, Frog and Toad enjoy spending their days together. They fly kites, celebrate Toad's birthday, and share the shivers when Frog tells a scary story. Most of all, they have fun together every day of the year. So now when I'm thinking about what I learned about the characters on the front of the book and what I learned about them from the blurb on the back, I'm starting to collect a lot of information. Part of that information tells me about their physical traits, what they look like. But what I learned on the back tells me a little bit more about their personality traits, what they like and how they act. I know that they like to spend a lot of time together. I know that they're both scared of scary stories now. I'm excited to read the first chapter from the book and see what else we can learn about the characters. Days with Frog and Toad. The first chapter is called Tomorrow. Toad woke up. Drat, he said. This house is a mess. I have so much work to do. Frog looked through the window. Toad, you are right, said Frog. It is a mess. Toad pulled the covers over his head. I will do it tomorrow, said Toad. Today, I will take life easy. Oh, when I hear that, it makes me start to think about what kind of character Toad is. Seems like he's got a problem. His house is a real mess. But he doesn't want to take care of it. I think that means he's kind of lazy. What do you think? Frog came into the house. Toad, said Frog, your pants and jacket are lying on the floor. Tomorrow, said Toad, under the covers. Your kitchen sink is filled with dirty dishes, said Frog. Tomorrow, said Toad. There's dust on your chairs. Tomorrow, said Toad. Your windows need scrubbing, said Frog. Your plants need watering. Tomorrow, cried Toad. I will do it all tomorrow. Oh, so I'm starting to learn more about Frog here, too. Frog seems to be a concerned friend. He wants to help Toad make his life neater and help motivate him to do more. Toad sat on the edge of his bed. Blah, said Toad. I feel down in the dumps. That's another way of saying I feel sad. Why? Asked Frog. I am thinking about tomorrow, said Toad. I'm thinking about all of the many things that I will have to do. Yes, said Frog. Tomorrow will be a very hard day. But, Frog, said Toad, if I pick up my pants and jacket right now, then I will not have to pick them up tomorrow. Will I? No, said Frog, you will not have to. Toad picked up his clothes. He put them in the closet. Frog, said Toad, if I wash my dishes right now, then I will not have to wash them tomorrow, will I? No, said Frog, you will not have to. Toad washed and dried his dishes. He put them in the cupboard. Frog, said Toad, if I dust my chairs and scrub my windows and water my plants right now, then I will not have to do it tomorrow, will I? No, said Frog, you will not have to do any of it. Toad dusted his chairs, he scrubbed his windows, he watered his plants. There, said Toad, now I feel better. I'm not in the dumps anymore. Why? Asked Frog. Because I've done all that work, said Toad. Now I can save tomorrow for something that I really want to do. What is that? Asked Frog. Tomorrow, said Toad, I can take life easy. Toad went back to bed. He pulled the covers over his head and fell asleep. Have you ever had days like that where you just are dreading that thing that you have to get done and it's ruining your day because you keep thinking about, oh no, I have to go and do that? I've had those kind of days, and I really like how Toad changed his attitude by going ahead and taking care of that job right away. Let's take a look at the chart that I've used to gather information about Frog and Toad. You have a chart that looks just like this in your learning packet. It says Days with Frog and collecting information about characters, and then I wrote the title of my book, Days with Frog and Toad. I labeled the character Toad and Frog at the top, and first I want to think about their physical characteristics. What do they look like? Well, Frog kind of has lumps on his back. He seems to be a bit bumpier. He has a green coat and pants. His skin is brown. He seems to be a little bit chubbier, and he's kind of short. Frog is green. He has a brown coat. He's skinnier, and he's tall. That's how we can tell them apart by looking at them. But could you tell them apart by the way that they act? Those are their character traits. Let's take a look at that. In this first story, we noticed that at the beginning, Toad was pretty lazy, but Frog was helpful and encouraging. We noticed that Toad was also kind of sleepy. He didn't want to get out of bed. And I noticed some other things about Frog as the story went on. He seemed to be a good friend, so we could say that he was friendly. You can add to your chart and make it look just like mine, or you can use the chart and pick your own story and think about the characters from your book. What do they look like? And how do they act? Let's keep collecting information about the characters as we read.